Whatever questions you may have about Battania, the answer is always Fians. Just grab a ton of Fians, run around Calradia, and kill everything. Have fun. Oklahoma out. Battanian Fians are everything wrong with noble troops and Bannerlord. They are just completely overpowered. So let's start out in reasonable territory, where we have our Palatine Guard here with 140 bow skill. Even better than that, coming in at a whopping 160 bow skill, we have our Azurai Master Archer. But bring in the Fian Champion and we go all the way up to not 180, not 200, not even a whopping 220, but an absolutely god tier 260. I have always said on the subject of noble troops, they either need a cap or they need a reduction in how elite they are. Either this bow skill needs to come down, they need to lose the two-hander and just get a one-hander, so that nerfs them a little bit in melee. So maybe they're a master archer, but they shouldn't be the best archer and the best shock troop and be super easy to recruit. Because honestly, the best thing to do with Battania is just to have an army full of Fians. I have nothing against having badass elite units, but when they're also super easy to recruit, these guys are just so completely above and beyond regular troops that to be able to replace them and get them as easily as you do, I think, I don't like that. But I do want to be clear, I always believe things like that should be optional. So I think they should institute a cap in the base game of some sort, either by clan tier or XP, or I don't know, just maybe really slow respawn rate. I think noble troops should just start coming to you as your clan tier levels up. I think you should get a few here and there. I don't know. But it's just way too easy to go to a castle village and recruit 12 of these guys, and they just level armies. They're just incredible. And the best thing you can do is just recruit a bunch of these guys and go. Okay, you can incorporate other units and you can do all these tactics and all this shit, but you don't need to. You can grab an army full of these Fian champions, and it doesn't matter how much it costs because you're going to be taking out everybody. They're amazing in siege. They're amazing in siege defense, my God. When you're defending a siege with these guys, it feels like you've got machine gun emplacements, right? I mean, things are just getting mowed down out there. In summary, they're completely overpowered. They're also an absolute blast. And an all-Fian playthrough is such a joy. But if you compare the rest of the roster to the Fian, I mean, there's just no comparison. But I do like to mix in some infantry with my Battania playthroughs most of the time. I just enjoy it more. And I am such a fan of these Battania wildlings. Have you seen these things? These guys come with 2 sets of javelins. So you'll see here they have 5 and 5, so 10 total. But then you can also get a captain in there to give them a few more. And when the combination comes together, it's just a dream. Good job, fellas. That's what I'm talking about. So let's just take a trip with our champion here. The young Bodog, leader of the Fin Fang. Look at that sweet serpent banner. Isn't that badass? I would just always suggest to you, and I can't suggest this enough, level these guys all the way up as quickly as possible. You are going to be able to take on any party of bandits when you get 20 Fian champions. Money should never be an issue because you should be mowing down everything. Just put them in spread formation and let them shoot. And you're going to do, they're going to put in work. Look at these guys. They're not even going to get close to your guys. And so look, it's costing me 200 a day for this army. That's one weapon. Even if it was 500, 600 a day, it wouldn't matter. That's 2-3 weapons. The other key tip to remember with Battania is as soon as you possibly can, either get your scouting up or go find a scout and get this forest skin perk. Battania already gets a 50% reduction in moving through the forest. With this forest skin perk, it's 100% reduction. You are flying through the trees. Every other party in the game, whether it's Lord parties or caravans, bandits, anything else that hits the tree line is going to get slowed down, but you will not. The second that you hit clan tier 1, make sure you go get a mercenary contract. It may sound crazy, but an army of fiends can actually be overrun. It takes a lot, but usually how it happens is just like this. They'll come at you in a shield wall, and you'll pump them and you'll still kill some, but a lot of them will still get through. And then the cavalry hits you on the sides, and then the infantry and the cavalry are all grinded into your archer line here, and so they all stop firing, and then the enemy's archers are behind them shooting into your guys, and they're not shielded, so they're actually doing pretty good damage. And that combination will actually, you can see, can be a big problem. Don't forget that the combination of the scouting perk plus the Battania bonus is so overpowered that your army of 154 units will actually be faster. You can see right there, my speed 4.1, than a caravan moving through the tree line. Right, so here's their speed 3.7, I'm 4.1, and you can just catch caravans over and over and over. Wonderful way to get a ton of money, and a fantastic way to also level up your roguery. And here you can see the combination army I like to build with the wildlings and the fiends coming together, because I've got like 120 fiends, and then here come the infantry. And from here on out, I'm just going to start building up my wildling line. All these high pierce javelins going out on top of all of these bodkin arrows. You're just shredding armies down. And you can see as the enemy approaches here, the javelins are already getting ready to sail out. And like I said, they're not that impressive even here when there's like 50 of them. They're cool, but they're not as impressive. But once you get like 200 of them, you'll see what I'm talking about. Because these javelins are nasty. And look how many they have. And you see them when they come in, is they're throwing them out. And yeah, shields catch a lot of them, but those things start wrecking shields real fast. And boy, you lose your shield with all these Battanian fiends firing into you, you're in trouble already. It will not take you long at all to level up your clan tier, because you're going to be knocking down lord parties, and you can even take on small armies. So you're going to be getting a ton of influence, which you're going to convert into money. That's the benefit of the mercenary contract. One of the best ways to farm as a mercenary with your elite company of archers and javelinmen is to defend in sieges. So what you do is you find an enemy army, and you can highlight it, and it'll tell you where they're going, and then try to beat them there. And then you join the siege. Now make sure you assign some siege to get built. If you get a combination of a bunch of siege weaponry plus your fiends shooting from the walls, that enemy army, I don't care who the hell it is, they're going to be hitting the beaches of Normandy. Okay, so another army ends up showing up here, and now we've got that 1,200 man. So this is a little more legit of a threat now. However, I am very skeptical that they're going to take this, but let's just see. Let's just see. I've been wrong before. Not a lot. I mean, this is what I'm telling you. Look at the casualties they've taken just from the damn ballista and the fiends firing down. They're just now hitting the walls, and they've taken some casualties. And I got to tell you, whoever set this ballista up is getting a medal. But you got to respect about the Empire. They'll just take those casualties, man. They don't give a shit. They got plenty more guys where that came from. That's how they hit you. They just hit you with wave after wave of those legions wearing you down. Now we'll just rain a little death from afar. Oh, there they go. What'd I tell you? Huh? Look at this. Absolute kings of defending the walls. And this is where you score on that merc contract, because you get all these prisoners, right? Look at all this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take, look, 1,029 prisoners. We want them all. And all you do is you go to the keep and you go to the dungeon. Is this full now? It's not. So we're good here. And we'll just stuff these guys in here. Right now, look at this merc contract. Right now, I'm expected to get 7,000, right? But I'm going to look at all this influence I'm about to get. That's what you get paid for. So we're going to go from 7. Dump all those guys up here. Now look, 11-4. On top of that, we've got the 60 large and prisoners. And with our high roguery skill, where we get a ton of extra loot, it looks like we could grab the 50,000 from this town and also have about 300,000 more to sell. So when you're running around Merkin and you spot a giant enemy army, don't just let it go. See where it's headed. beat it there. And if you can post up a nice fief defense, it doesn't take but a couple before you are up and rolling and your campaign is taken off. And I always say a clan of one is no fun. So as soon as I clan up and I'm an official vassal, I go ahead and create some parties. And now when I see those big yummy Empire armies galloping across the plains, now I'm no longer going to set up in a fief defense. All I do is call the boys together. You'll see it costs me 0 influence to add these party armies because I'm paying for them. And now that I got the whole crew together, we'll go ahead and attack right outside the walls of Legata here. Oh, and this is a lovely battlefield. You're going to really get to see it come together here. So we'll just put the infantry down there. You guys know how you do it. You put the infantry down below, archers in the back, shooting over the top. I've got a lot of new recruits in because we keep leveling so fast. But here we're farming armies. I mean, this is an Empire army. This isn't a party. This is a 500-man army we're farming. And once you get to where you're farming these armies, it gets really spectacular. And again, where there's just more renown, more loot, more money, everything you need, and you're just getting more of it. As you can see, the boys are just tearing it up. And look, don't be afraid to come in here with your Falx sword and have a little fun. This Falx thing is awesome. I got this from Papa Caladog. Here come the reinforcements. And you guys know how it is. You get that first wave of armored units, and that's the real battle. And then after this, it's just harvesting season. I recommend this in almost every guide I do, but it's just super applicable here, so I have to say it again. Fighting in villages can give you a huge advantage, especially when you're outnumbered, and especially if the enemy has a bunch of cavalry. You can see I've got the infantry over there kind of to the right, keeping the cavalry from just storming all the way in. And you'll see how well, if you watch the javelins going into the cavalry, look at those horses just folding. And they do such a good job, and they have so much ammo. And usually that's the drawback with javelin, right? They hit hard, but they don't have a lot of ammo. Well, those guys hit hard and they have a ton of ammo. And this is how you like it right here. Kind of we're peeling the army off in 2 different kind of alleys here. The whole time firing on them. The village battle maps just really prevent the enemy from being able to bring their numbers to bear on the battle. And they keep it very simple where your elite troops are just raining death on them. So friendly reminder 200, villages can be amazing battlegrounds, especially for these kinds of armies. Do remember that you can convert forest bandits into Fian champions. It's the perk veterans respect here in the leadership tree. You can get a whole bunch of them very quickly if you grab this partners in crime over here in the roguery tree. And what that does is instead of having to fight them and take some prisoner, as soon as you come up to them, you just say, here we go, fellas. We need some recruits. And then they'll all come over. And now look at your boy. I got my big old personal army. Got a bunch of parties in my clan. Got a big fief here. Got a castle also. And it is just such a beautiful day to betray my king and country and go on my own. One of the things I love the most about the Battanian armies is that all this range killing power keeps the casualties down. And so when you first start your own Celtic kingdom like I have here, and the Northern Empire is like, hey, we're going to go prey on that newly founded kingdom, well, because you don't take a lot of casualties, you can really hold off these big invasions that come like this. In situations where the ground's a little more flat and it's not as advantageous to put your archers behind your infantry because your infantry is going to block their shots. In those cases, what I like to do actually is just create kind of like a V like this. So you're going to have to come after somebody, right? You're either going to have to go after my infantry and then my archers are going to level you, or you're going to come after the archer line and you're going to take all those javelins that are about to come flying out of here. And look at these javelins, dude. First off, look how many goddamn javelins they have. Look at all those javelins. And really, don't use javelins because they don't have as much ammo. We got plenty of ammo over here. And actually, they're better about throwing them if you have them charge and also if you spread them out a little bit. But look, some of these guys will sit back here and just throw javelins while they're charging in. Isn't that great? But another option you have is you can just spread your infantry out in the front, the spread formation. And what's really great about the spread formation is that they actually do a much better job of throwing their javelins if they're spread out like that. Also, you can see them being spread out like that creates lanes in which my cracked out ass archers can start really putting some death through those alleyways. And you'll see how it plays out here. And remember, it's snowing too, so all range damage is kind of nerfed. But you'll see it spreads them out so that the javelins are really flying. And you can hear all the arrows and javelins thumping away. You can see how having them spread out allows your archers to pretty much shoot directly in there. Gets those infantry turned around. And it ain't long before something finds them. They're obviously not as good at slowing down cavalry if they're spread out like that. But here in the snow, you can barely tell the difference. And there's a lot of advantages to your infantry being spread out. I know some people hate to do it, but it can actually be very advantageous in situations like this where the rest of your, faction is out running around taking part in a siege or something. And I don't want them to stop doing what they're doing, but I also don't want to lose my fief here to this 1,500-man Azurai army. Well, you hate to do it sometimes, but break in to help the defender can be a very effective tactic. So here I'm going to break in. You can see it's only going to cost me 35 troops. So that sucks, but that's not really that bad. You'll see here in tactics, the improviser talent. 25% less troops lost when breaking into a siege. So that could be helpful. And here they bravely come into tier 3 walls, chocked full of Fian champions. And you can see, yeah, it doesn't usually take them long to figure out this ain't happening. We can cash all this stuff in and get out here and start farming these guys. And you can see all it cost me was like 30 guys, which right away I can recruit back up. Not a problem. So sometimes it can be more than worth it to just slip into a keep and use your own personal army as kind of a siege defense while the rest of your faction's out running around. I do want to say that while the Battanian armies are very strong and can feel very overpowered, you do have to be careful in big field battles because they can get overwhelmed. And if you're fighting some of these factions that come up with a pretty stacked out army or like a huge one like this here, you got 13,500 or some 1,600 Valandian army coming at you, they can absolutely crush you in the field sometimes. You got to be careful. And here at the end, let's just bring it all together, Battania style. Get all the boys together, get our bows and arrows out, and have a little fun harvesting here on this beautiful day. Look at the trees. So nice out. So, let's do what we do, fellas, and look at them. Look at them just raining death. And the sound of all that shit flying through the air. I just really can't recommend the Javelin enough. I mean, first off, you hear those arrows from the enemy hitting their shields? Those would be hitting your Fians if these guys weren't up here. So, first off, they're soaking arrows. Secondly, they got these awesome javelins that are great for melting shields. And then on top of that, it's probably one of the best anti-cav units in the game. I mean, these javelins melt cavalry horses, cavalry men, anything that they hit, they destroy. And these guys carry a ton of them. So I think they're a wonderful addition. But you can see it gets crazy up in here. Sometimes you just got to get crunk down here in the melee club. And that's how you play Battania, baby. You grab you an OP cultural bonus and a whole bunch of OP ranged units, and you run around Calradia reminding all these pompous pony lovers what happens when they step out of their precious civilization and into the trees where the men roam. Oklahoma out.